Hi everyone, welcome to my channel JS to Big Data. In this tutorial, we will learn about indexing and slicing the data frames in Pandas. This is part of the Pandas tutorial series for data science and machine learning. This is the part 3 of this tutorial series. There are 2 more tutorials which I already uploaded. So just a quick recap, I have uploaded 2 more tutorials. First one is about getting started with Pandas, where I explained you about data frames and series exclusively. And as part of the part 2, I explained you how to do basic data explorations. I have explained you the usage of descriptive statistics, how to find the mean, max, median and so on. I have also shown you how to see the different columns, how to modify the index. After that, we have seen how to use D types, shape, head, tail and so on. And finally, I have also given you an assignment. So let's get started with the tutorial part 3. So what do we mean by indexing and slicing the data frames? So what we basically want to do is we want to find a way to select specific rows or specific columns or the subsets of the data frames. So if I want to select few columns and few rows of the data frames, how to do it? So you know, to do anything we need to import the libraries. So I will import the libraries and let's import our company.csv file. So we'll import that and I'll run this code. And as soon as I import, you can see the data frame getting printed. You have seen this data before, so let's move on. And if I want to print the top 5 rows of the data frame, I can do that using df.head method. So let's understand how to slice the data. So there are different ways to do it. The first one we are looking into is using the column and row index. So there is a certain syntax that you need to follow in order to slice the data based on index, based on column index or row index. So this pattern is explained here. So if you want the data frame to be selected based on a column name, you can use this. You can use df, pass on the column name, that will give you the series of that column. So you know that if you slice out one specific column, it becomes a series, no more data frame. And similarly, there would be use cases where you want to select the data frame based on multiple columns. So when you have multiple columns, you can specify them as shown here. So you need to pass it in double brackets and here, because the first one would be considered as row and the second part would be columns. We'll see about it. And then there is the row selectors, right? So beauty about this row selectors is you can either use index value or the integer locations of the index. So when I say df2:5, what it would do is it would select the data frames from index 2 to index 5. So these are integer locations. So you know it would start from 0 first, it will leave. So second, third, fourth, that's all it would select. So let's move on and let's write some code and try to understand this. So we'll see the example of column index. So if I want to select the gender column of the data frame, so I can use df gender and then I'm just using head 10 to print out the top 10. So let's run this and you can see it, right? So I have the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are index and these are my values or the gender. Now let's move on to the next one. So if I want to select, let's say, unique values of the gender, and you know how to do it, you have seen this in the previous video. So you will use df gender.unique. So that will tell me how many types of genders are present in this data frame. There are just 2, male and female. And let's see how to select multiple columns. So you know, like you have to pass it in the double bracket. So please remember this, because the first bracket would be considered as the row selector and the second one would be considered as the column selector. So that's why we pass 2 brackets. So let's do that. So you can see, right, I have selected the employee ID, gender, and obviously this is the auto generated index, and this is a type of so let's see what type it returns. So this one would become now my data frame. Okay. Similarly, we want to select the data frame based on rows or row index. So df.head, obviously we know this, what it would do. So if I put df 2:5, so it would select row 2nd, 3rd and 4th row. So let's do this. So let's go back and see our data. So it would select 2nd, 3rd and 4th, right? So 1320, 1321 and 1322. So has it done that? Yes, it has done it correctly, right? We will learn about loc and iloc, or location and ilocation. LOC is location and ilocation is integer location. You might have already got some hint. Let's get into understanding this. LOC indexer, so which is nothing but the location based index. This one is used primarily to select the data frame, meaning you want to slice the data frame, you want to select only specific rows or specific columns of the data frame. This method is primarily a level based selecting method. So which means you need to specify the row name or column name in order to use this API. And as I have shown you before, you can pass on the row levels as well. So if you do data frame dot location and then you pass, first bracket would be your row, second bracket would be your columns that you want to use it to filter the data. Remember, location uses the exact value, not the index of it. What I want to do is I want to set the employee ID as the data frame's index. So you have seen this API before. So I have just set the employee ID as the index of my data frame. And why? Because I want to use the location API and I want to demonstrate the use of that. So I want to select the data frame dot location, and this is the index value, not the integer value, right? Because location would use the actual value of it. So let's see what it does. And I'm just slicing out a particular row, right? So that's why my row becomes the series. Now similarly, I want to select two rows and whose employee IDs are 1332 and 8223, and let's see what it does, right? So what would happen if I print the type of df3? It would be a data frame. Why? Because I'm slicing out two rows, right? If I just do one row, it would become series. Now I also want you to pay a little more attention to this. What would happen if I do this? Can you guess? So let's see. So when I do this with double bracket, it will become a data frame, and this is what exactly happening in my next example. If I put single selector, it will become a series. So here, because there are double selectors, so it is becoming a data frame, right? Now this one is a good example which you should remember. So what we will do is we will select few columns based on the IDs, employee IDs. So let's do that. So you can see that I have selected the rows 1332, 8223, employee IDs, and then just two columns, age and department. So this is a good example for you to remember. Remember the index, first one is your row and second one are the column selectors. Let's move on. So you can also use certain Boolean expressions in order to filter your data. So for example, df.location, I want to select the data frame where age is greater than 55, and I can do that very easily as shown here. So if I run this, you can see the data frame where the age is greater than 55. Okay. So next we will learn about iloc index. So which is nothing but integer position based location indexer. So iloc is an index based selecting method, means we have to pass integer index to select the specific row or column. So this integer index is nothing but your integer position value. Okay. So if it is the second column, you need to pass 1. If it is the third column, you need to pass 2. And similarly, if it is the first, you will pass the 0 value, right? But location makes use of the actual value. So this is the difference, right? iloc and location. So mind you, it's often asked to define the difference between loc and iloc. So please remember the differences. Now, you know the usage of head method, so I need not explain. And here you can see that I am slicing the data frame based on the index value. So 3, 4, 5, right? So this is my 0, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and there would be a 5th one. And then I am selecting the 0 to 4 column. So first one, second one, third one. So 0, 1, 2 till department would be printed. So let's see, right? So it has selected correctly. So again, to explain you, iloc expects the integer position value, wherein the loc uses the actual value. Again, similarly, you can use this. This is just another example. So if I had to select birthday, age, city name, department, and these are the IDs, so I can just write it like this. Or if you want to use the loc, you can also write it like this. So if you think like I'm going very fast, then please pause the video, try it out on yourself, right? Okay. I have shown you before also like how you can filter out certain values and print the data frame. So exactly the same thing we have done here, right? We have selected the values where the age is greater than 55 and we just picked up the top 5 values and shown you here. Next important one that we will learn is called dataframe.query. So what it does basically is you can query the columns of a data frame with a boolean expression. Okay. So just like what you have seen, like querying based on age or something, you can have a complex query as well. So you can say something like select the data frame where the user email is something like star@gmail.com. So that would select all the users which is having a particular pattern of the email. Basically you need to pass a boolean expression and then you will see the data. So let's check that out. So in this case what I am doing is I am finding the data frame where gender is equal to male. So let's see, right? So I am finding all the data where the gender is equal to male. Similarly, I want to query the age where age is above the mean age of the data frame and then sort that entire data frame based on age. So let's see. So you have your employee ID, you have birthday and then age you can see it's sorted. Obviously it's truncated because of the limitations of our screen, and then city name, department, job title, gender and so on, right? So this is kind of close to what you would use in your real world project, right? You would use some complex query, you will perform some operations and so on. I like to give you a small assignment. So there would be a CSV file in the data directory. It's called company.csv. Just load the data, sort the data set based on age, print only the top 10 data sets, print the last 10 data sets, select the top 10 records where gender equal to male, department equal to bakery and age is less than 50. So use this expression, select the top 10 columns, and I would really encourage you to share the solved assignment link in the comments below. Even if you don't share, please try to solve this by yourself. And there are some recommended readings for you. So please learn about the difference between iloc and location from online resource. So this is all as part of indexing and slicing is concerned. So a quick recap. So we have seen how to use the column indexing, right? We have also seen how to use multiple column selectors. We have seen how to use the row selectors. We have seen how to use the LOC function, right? And then we have also seen how to use it for selecting multiple rows and multiple columns and so on. And then we have seen how to use it along with some expression to filter out the data. Then we have seen how to use the iloc indexer, where we have passed the index position or the integer position of columns and rows and selected different data frames. And importantly, we have also seen how to use the query function. We have seen how we could filter out the data or the data frame with gender equal to male. We have also used it with slightly more complex expression. I've also shared some links with you, so please go through. I want you to go through this difference between loc and iloc, so please go through this. That's all. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next part of this tutorial. So far we have seen the basics of data frames. We have learned to do basic data explorations on data frames. We have also seen how to index and slice our data frames. I just want to quickly take you back to the original descriptive statistics in data frame. I will quickly just recap about the descriptive statistics that you have learned in the previous tutorial. So descriptive statistics is nothing but performing certain operations, certain common statistics on your data frame. So when you get a data frame, there are certain methods or operations that you can perform on it. So these are like mean, median, mode, sum, standard deviation, mean, max, count, unique and n-unique. So unique and unique are pretty much similar, count, max, mean. So you have all seen this. Standard deviations also you have seen it. So we'll import the data frame here. When we use the describe method, you know that it gives you the count, mean, standard deviation and max value and the different percentage value of the data. And then if you perform df.info, it will give you the dimension and the size of the data frame. It will tell you what are the different types of data that are present, how many are the null columns and what are the values or what are the size of the null values. You are also familiar with this. This is just a different way to write it down. If I perform df.sum, what would happen? Let's go back to the previous data frame for a second. So you have seen the data frame here, right? So if I do df.sum, what it would do is it will just try to sum up all the values of the columns. So this one is integer. Obviously employee ID doesn't make sense to sum it up, but just to demonstrate you. So it will sum up all the integer value. These are obviously string values or date values. So it will consider as a string and go on summing up as a string. It will sum up all the age values. Similarly, it will sum up all the cities values as a string. You know, it would perform string concatenations. Same for the department. Same would also happen for the job title and gender. So these all string values would be concatenated and it will become a very big string. So let's see what it does. So it is exactly doing this Vancouver, 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 Vancouver and so on. And it has also summed up the or concatenated the strings together, but integer values are coming nicely. So you might want to perform this only on specific columns, right? That makes more sense. So if you do df, employee ID, age and then sum, so it is making more sense to do this, right? So I just wanted to demonstrate you how you can select specific column and then perform this operation on top of it, right? Whatever the descriptive statistics that you want to perform, you can do that. And similarly, if I want to find the mean of age, you have seen this, I can do it this way. And if I want to find the median, I can also do it. And same as mode, standard deviation, max, mean, right? And there are some more examples that I want to show you. That's why I just created a simple data frame. Here you have 3 columns A, B and C and the values are range integer. So 1 to 9, 11 to 19 would be there and 21 to 29 would be there. So let's see what the data frame looks like. So this is what is my data frame. So there is something important that I wanted to talk about. It's called stack or stacking. So you can use this stack function to reshape your data frame. So you can make it like stack each column on top of another column, or you can reshape the data frame as per your requirement, right? There may be a requirement where you don't want rows or columns to be as columns. You want to just stack them together, right? Stacking meaning keeping one on top of another. It would be more clear if I show you some good example. So let's get into understanding it. So you have seen the data frame previously, right? A, B, C, where you have 9 rows and 3 columns, right? So just pay a little bit more attention, try to remember this. If I do this stack here, what would happen? It will stack everything together. So A, B, C is become as part of the index 0, part of index 1, index 2, index 3 and so on. So if I try to see its type now, right? So it has become a series, it is no more a data frame. Similarly, I also wanted to show you something called values. And by the way, before I move on to values, so if you want to get back the previous data frame from your stacked series, you can also use Unstack function to do that. Okay. So all you have to do is to use right. So if I do unstack, I'm getting back my previous data frame. So this is all that I wanted to show you. Now let's move on. We'll now select only the values of a particular data frame. So I'm not interested into the data frame, but I'm only interested in picking up the values. So I can convert literally the data frame into an array. And if I want to know what sort of array it is, I can just use type and then let's see what sort of array it is, right? So numpy array. And you know, there may be use case where you want to just sum up all the integers or all the values of a particular array. So you can do that, right? NumPy has these APIs to do. So I want to give you a small assignment as part of this tutorial. So I want you to load the card.csv file from the data directory. I want you to find the total number of null and not null columns present in the data frame. Find the unique country and type values, find the mean, median and mode, calculate the total price of all cars. So you got the hint, right? You might have to use stack or value functions to achieve this. And I also want you to go through certain reference links. I'll put these links in the description below so that you go through those. How to handle the missing values in Pandas. I'll create a separate video on data cleaning or exploratory data analysis. You know, it would be part of that. That's why I didn't want to make this particular video so long. And there are also other articles from Geeks for Geeks related to this. So I would also like you to go through this. So this is all as part of this tutorial, and I will see you in the next chapter. In the next video, I will discuss about filtering of the data and important functions like group by and aggregate functions, right? That's all. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. So if you like the content that I create, please do like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.